In these very troubling times, we hear a lot of talk about freedom. So let's say a word about freedom. We now have a president of the United States who just the other day said, and I quote, "I have read someplace that the networks were 97% against me. I would think maybe their license should be taken away," end of quote. Really? Mr. President, that's not freedom. That's authoritarianism. Last I heard, under our Constitution, which you swore to uphold, the American people are allowed to criticize the president. The media is allowed to criticize the president or anybody else. We now have a Trump-appointed Federal Communications Commissioner, FCC, named Mr. Carr, who celebrated getting Jimmy Kimmel taken off the air and then threatened other shows saying, "We're not done yet." Hey, Mr. Carr, that's not freedom. That's precisely what happens in authoritarian societies. So let us be honest, let's be clear about what is going on. Trump has sued and tried to intimidate ABC, CBS, the Associated Press, PBS, cut their funding, NPR, cut their funding, anybody who covers him critically. And just the other day, he filed a $15 billion lawsuit against the New York Times. They got Stephen Colbert off the air. They got Jimmy Kimmel off the air. And we are seeing Trump's friends now take over CBS and maybe CNN. Freedom of the press and our First Amendment is what sets us apart from tin pot dictatorships. That's what our kids learn in the 4th grade. But apparently that is not the case anymore. What's going on right now sounds more like Vladimir Putin's Russia. It sounds more like Mohammed bin Salman's Saudi Arabia. Under Trump, we are seeing a very strong movement in this country toward authoritarianism, and his attacks against the media are part of that process. So, let me make a simple request of my Republican colleagues. If you don't have the guts to stand up to Donald Trump and defend the Constitution of the United States of America, please just stop using the word freedom. Freedom is not just saying nice things or agreeing with those in power. Freedom is not just flattering the President of the United States and telling him how great he is. Freedom is the right to express your point of view, no matter what that may be, without government interference. Maybe what you're saying is right. Maybe what you're saying is wrong. Maybe what you're saying is brilliant. Maybe what you're saying is dumb. But in the United States of America, what our Constitution is about is having the right to say it. And we must not allow anybody to take away that basic freedom, that most important freedom, away from us. There is a reason why freedom of speech is the First Amendment to our Constitution, not the 5th, not the 10th. It is the First Amendment because the founders of this country, correctly, in their wisdom, knew that you cannot maintain a free society without the right to speak openly without fear of intimidation. That's what they understood then. It was true then. It is true today. So let me conclude by saying this. I don't care what your political point of view is. If you're a progressive, great. If you're a moderate, great. If you're a conservative, great. You're a Democrat, you're a Republican, you're independent. It doesn't matter what your political point of view may be. This is the moment, no matter what our politics may be, for us to stand together and protect our Constitution and the fundamental freedoms that make us a great country. Thank you all very much.
I just want to start with a quick question, a very simple question. and asked, do you know who else loved throwing around the word freedom like it was their own personal brand? That's right. Kamala Harris, just a year ago during the 2024 campaign, freedom wasn't just a buzzword for her. It was the core of her entire pitch.
In this election, we each face a question. What kind of country do we want to live in? There are some people who think we should be a country of chaos, of fear, of hate. But us, we choose something different. We choose freedom. Freedom, freedom, I can't move.
Her launch video kicked off with her declaring, "We choose freedom," set to Beyonce's anthem, Freedom, blasting in the background. Beyonce herself gave Kamala Harris the green light to use it as her unofficial campaign theme song.
Beyonce's song Freedom, heard here in some Donald Trump campaign content, might lead to a lawsuit. According to a Rolling Stone source,
Donald Trump is taking a shot at
presidential campaign to quit playing her music.
Donald Trump is taking a shot at Vice President Kamala Harris by using Beyonce. Trump spokesperson Stephen Chung seemed to take aim at the Democratic rival in the 2024 election by using her campaign song Beyonce's Freedom in a social media post. The video shows Trump walking off his plane in Michigan for a campaign event with Freedom playing in the background as Trump raises his fists in the air. Despite concerns raised in the comments about potential copyright infringement, the video remained online until Tuesday night before being removed from the platform. It's been reported that Beyonce's team threatened to send a cease and desist to the Trump campaign over the use of the song, which it reportedly did not receive permission to use. In July, Harris received quick approval from Beyonce's team to use Freedom from her 2016 album Lemonade as part of her presidential campaign.
We choose freedom.
You know, we had a very short time with her. She had a little honeymoon period because nobody knew anything about her. When they found out about her, she went down the tubes. Yesterday, she had Beyonce because she can't draw a crowd. See this crowd? This crowd is packed. I could sell it out 3 times. You got to see outside. And we don't have Beyonce, who couldn't fill the arena last night. But the people went there because they thought they were going to hear Beyonce sing, right? Beyonce got out and said, "Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to endorse her." What's her name? What's her name? What is her name again? Oh, I'm going to endorse her. They just don't get it. So what happened is the crowd came because they thought she was going to sing. Then she turned around. She left, and Kamala started speaking, and it was a disaster. They all left. Everybody left. We don't need anybody because we are here. Let me be nice. We're here for policy reasons. Oh, policy. We're here for common sense. So the truth is, we're really the party of common sense when you get right down to it, right? Common sense. And they send buses out. You know, they have plenty of money. They get it from the unions and a couple of other. They got a lot of money. They always had more money than the
Kamala Harris framed the whole election as a battle between her vision of freedom, think abortion rights, gun control, and healthcare access, and what she called President Trump's chaos, for which Kamala Harris is a California resident. She owns a Glock. And Gavin Newsom's California is pushing to ban all Glocks from the state of California.
California's finally done it. They found a way to make the most reliable, most popular handgun in the state, the Glock, illegal. And the excuse? Because criminals are breaking the law.
Breaking the law?
You can't make this shit up. Only in California could a government look at criminals converting guns illegally, then decide the solution is to punish the law-abiding people who aren't doing the shit illegally.
It's your fault.
So here's what's happening.
Either way, Democrats even waved freedom signs at their convention like it was some fresh revelation, the same convention that had a wall constructed around it, trying to steal the word right out from under us after years of conservatives owning it on everything from free markets to the Second Amendment. And I can give you a list of conservatives that were canceled, attempted to be silenced, primarily on Twitter. And get this, Beyonce and a bunch of other woke artists weren't just cheering Kamala Harris on, they were ready to sue to protect that freedom branding. And when Trump's team posted a quick 13-second clip of him stepping off of a plane in Michigan, synced to freedom as a very, very hilarious nod to Beyonce's label. She had her label fired off a cease and desist letter faster than you can say Kamala Harris blew $2 billion.
We learned two things about Kamala this election. She's good at raising money and she's good at blowing it. But money can't buy you elections, especially when you spend it like she did. She raked in more than $1 billion and is somehow now in debt. The Washington Examiner dug through her financial statements and gave us a good clue why. Kamala's campaign was getting whacked like a piñata while D.C. leeches hoovered up all the cash. She spent over $50 million on payroll. Trump's campaign spent less than 10. Another 12 million went to consultants and 20 million went to their little concerts with Lady Gaga, Katy Perry, Christina Aguilera, John Bon Jovi, remember him? They even had to cancel a performance by Alanis Morissette because they were running low on cash. Isn't that ironic? Campaign insiders are mad at the bosses for wasting donor money on concerts instead of ads about, the economy. Quote, they said they were spending to zero. I guess they overshot zero. Ads would have gone a lot further than the pricey celebrity endorsements. One campaign source said people were concerned about their own financial issues, not Oprah telling them America won't exist. But it worked out nicely for Oprah. She got her friend Kamala to pay her $1 million to interview her in September. $1 million. Now, if she thought she was saving democracy, she should have done it for free. Kamala scared donors by calling Trump a dictator, got $1 billion, then just gave it to her friends and blew the rest on being a diva. Kamala went on a podcast, remember Call Her Daddy, but she didn't want to go to their studio in LA. So she made the host fly to DC and used campaign cash to build a fake set in a hotel room. She spent more than $100,000 to build it. That set, see it? 2 chairs, a coffee table, and a bookshelf. That's 6 figures. Now, we looked at the set. We probably could have done it for around $6,000. That's without labor. But where'd the rest of the money go? We don't know. So she's still trying to soak folks for cash. 24 hours after the election, on Wednesday, Democrats got a text from the campaign. Urgent. We need help. Donate now. Help with what? You lost. If this is how she's going to spend her donors' dollars, imagine what she would have done with our taxes.
Kamala Harris blew $2 billion. Campaign donations, of course. Trump's video got yanked, and it joined a long list of stars from Adele to the Rolling Stones to Celine Dion, slapping Trump with legal threats for daring to play their music at rallies without permission. Remember? Yeah. It was all over the news just about a year ago, and these artists were all in on Kamala Harris's freedom vibe. But when it came to Trump touching it, well, crickets on the free speech lectures. Funny how that works, right? Now, cut to Bernie Sanders up there in his latest rant on his YouTube channel that somehow has 1 million subscribers. I'm not sure how that worked out. Clutching his pearls about Trump threatening media licenses and FCC moves against shows like Jimmy Kimmel, calling it authoritarianism and a slide into Putin's Russia. Fair enough. Bernie's got a point on defending the First Amendment. No one wants the government muzzling us, critics at that. But here's the irony that smells like selective amnesia. But he's getting old. Maybe he's just got a short-term memory problem. Just a few short years ago, the left's golden girl at the time, Kamala Harris, was out there demanding Twitter, prior to Elon Musk, suspend President Trump's account entirely. Okay. 2019, she straight up tweeted, look, let's be honest. At real Donald Trump's Twitter account should be suspended, and followed it up with a letter to CEO Jack Dorsey accusing Trump of targeting, harassment, and inciting civil war over his impeachment tweets. She doubled down in the CNN interview saying platforms like Twitter needed oversight and regulation because Trump's words were influencing real world violence like the El Paso shooter, and that his account should be taken down since he'd lost his privileges.
All of these social media companies and these online platforms, which are so powerful in their ability to impact perception about an issue and to influence behaviors, let's be clear about that. There have to be standards, and he and his account should be taken down. We saw in El Paso that shooter in his manifesto was informed by how Donald Trump uses that platform. And this is a matter of corporate responsibility. Twitter should be held accountable and shut down that site. It is a matter of safety and corporate accountability.
Thank you. Senator Warren, you can respond.
So, look, I don't just want to push Donald Trump off Twitter. I want to push him out of the White House. That's our job.
Join me in saying that his Twitter account should be shut down.
Let's figure out why it is that
he has lost his privileges and it should be taken down. And the bottom line is that you can't say that you have one rule for Facebook and you have a different rule for Twitter. The same rule has to apply, which is that there has to be a responsibility that is placed on these social media sites to understand their power. They are directly speaking to millions and millions of people without any level of oversight or regulation. And that has to stop. Donald Trump has 65 million followers on Twitter, and we have to take seriously the weaponization of this platform by the president and the need, therefore, of a private corporation to be held accountable to say he has abused the terms, and it could result literally in a threat to safety of human beings who are participating with the process of justice.
There is not a part of you civically, constitutionally, that is concerned about the precedent of a private company taking the platform away from the President of the United States or some other elected official.
Free speech does not condone or protect threats to the safety of other human beings. And so that is what we are talking about. Like, let's be really clear about what we're talking about.
I think we need to push back on this. There's no guarantee to free speech on misinformation or hate speech, and especially around our democracy.
Bernie, if we're being real about freedom meaning the right to speak your mind without government interference, no matter if it's brilliant, dumb, or just plain inflammatory, don't get me started on AOC.
We should be clear about who Charlie Kirk was. A man who believed that the Civil Rights Act that granted Black Americans the right to vote was a mistake. His rhetoric and beliefs were ignorant, uneducated, and sought to disenfranchise millions.
If you're going to call someone else's rhetoric ignorant, shouldn't you make sure your rhetoric isn't ignorant? The Civil Rights Act didn't give Black Americans the right to vote. The 15th Amendment did that a century earlier. Then, the Voting Rights Act in 1965 removed the barriers that states were still using to block Black people. But here's the deeper problem. AOC is attacking a straw man. Straw manning is when you twist someone's argument into a weaker version, then attack that instead of what they actually said. It's a logical fallacy. And it's what caused people to think Charlie Kirk is a racist. Here was his actual point.
You said the Civil Rights Act was a mistake. What did you mean by that?
Yeah, so the parts of the Civil Rights Act were great, but the way it's now being implemented to force men in female bathrooms to push forward of the trans agenda, the intent of the Civil Rights Act is way beyond what it was originally authored for.
But the intent specifically originally was to...
Well, that's interesting. So the intent and the law are two different things. So the intent was noble, which was to say that no American can be not allowed into a place of business based on the color of their skin or their ethnic heritage. Totally agreement with that. That's not what the law only did. It created a massive anti-racist DEI army that then gave us affirmative action.
I could do this all day because Charlie made this argument many times. Charlie supported the Civil Rights Act's intention to protect Black Americans from discrimination. His argument was that the law left loopholes, which are now being twisted to justify men and women's sports or racial discrimination in college admissions. AOC didn't just push this straw man once. She repeated it in emails. She pushed it on social media. And she was online when she sent those. 30 seconds with AI could have told her the context. All she had to do was ask, I heard Charlie said X. What's the context? Or what are the strongest arguments for and against this claim? That's how you steel man an argument. That's how you avoid straw manning. You can disagree with Charlie without misrepresenting the past. Lies got him killed. And if this doesn't stop, he won't be the last. I bust myths like this on my free newsletter.
This dude is probably one of the most unintelligent billionaires I have ever met or seen.
She says Elon Musk is not a very smart man. Yet Tesla's stock price is going through the roof. Starlink just purchased pretty much the ability to have 5G cell connectivity anywhere in the world. You could be in a jungle and have a crisp, clear connection on your cell phone. But AOC says he's not smart. Elon Musk seen here at the Charlie Kirk Memorial. Let's fucking go, folks. But how does that square with the Democratic Party's vice presidential pick at the time, pushing for a total social media blackout on the sitting president? That's not defending the Constitution, Bernie. That's playing favorites with the rules for thee, but not for me. And it's the same high horse socialism bullshit that people like Bernie Sanders has preached about for decades, will not stop, and will continue on. Freedom for the approved narratives only, censorship for the rest. Maybe it's a short-term memory problem, or it's just convenient soapboxing when it fits the script.
Basically, these people from the Biden administration would call up our team and like scream at them and curse, and it's like these documents it's all kind of out there.
Oh, did you record any of those phone calls?
I don't think we but I think
I want to listen.
I mean, there are emails. the emails are published. It's all kind of out there, and they're like, and basically it just got to this point where we were like, no, we're not gonna take down things that are true. That's ridiculous. They want us to take down this meme of Leonardo DiCaprio looking at a TV talking about how 10 years from now or something, you're going to see an ad that says, okay, if you took a COVID vaccine, you're eligible for, for this kind of payment, like this sort of like class action lawsuit type meme. And they're like, no, you have to take that down. And we just said, no, we're not going to take down humor and satire. We're not going to take down things that are true. And then at some point, I guess, I don't know, it flipped a bit. I mean, Biden, when he gave some statement at some point, I don't know if it was a press conference or to some journalists, where he basically was like, these guys are killing people. And I don't know, then like all these different agencies and branches of government basically just like started investigating, coming after our company. It was brutal. It was brutal.
Wow.
So at the beginning, it kind of seemed like, okay, we should give a little bit of deference to the government and the health authorities on how we should play this. But when it went from, 2 weeks to flatten the curve to, and like in the beginning, it was like, okay, there aren't enough masks. Masks aren't that important. To then it's like, oh no, you have to wear a mask. And, everything was shifting around. It just became very difficult to kind of follow. And this really hit the most extreme, I'd say, during the Biden administration when they were trying to roll out vaccine program. And I'm generally like pretty pro rolling. I think on balance, they're more positive than negative. But I think that while they're trying to push that program, they also tried to censor anyone who is basically arguing against it. And they pushed us super hard to take down things that honestly were true, right? I mean, they basically pushed us and said, anything that says might have side effects, you basically need to take down. And I was just like, well, we're not going to do that. Like, we're clearly not going to do that. I mean, that is kind of inarguably true.
Who is they? Who's telling you to take down things that
it was
that talk about vaccine side effects?
It was people in the Biden administration.
Yeah, Bernie, I'm not calling this freedom. I doubt anybody is, at least not from this side, Bernie. Far from it. But what do you guys think? Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. If freedom's for everyone, then why the double standard?
On the subject of terrible things posted online, the biggest story of the day today was Roseanne. Roseanne, you're not going to believe this, but she tweeted something outrageous. I know, yeah, right. The president did it too. It's crazy. Anyway, ABC decided to cancel their highest-rated show, Roseanne, following a tweet in which Roseanne compared an African-American woman, a former advisor to President Obama, to an ape, which did not sit well with ABC management or anyone with a brain, really. So they announced that this first season of the show is also its last, which is a huge blow to business. I mean, we don't have much on this network. We're hoping the NBA Finals goes 11 games this year. We're still airing America's Funniest Home Videos, okay? Roseanne was a very bigly hit for ABC, and we needed it. But I say, why just listen, hear me out. Just because Roseanne is gone doesn't mean the whole show has to go. The show must go on. That's what we say in show business. And with that said, I have an idea that I think makes this work for everyone.
These affiliates have reached out to me. I've taken a never-ending stream of calls from the ABC News affiliates and broadcast affiliates writ large. And those owners are telling me, thank you. We are the broadcast partners of ABC. It is our right to take the broadcast down if we do not believe it is in the public interest of our audience. ABC isn't just some type of giant monolith that just broadcasts to all 330 million homes in America. ABC News must partner with locally owned, privately owned stations. And those stations, which represent, no doubt, Trump voters, the majority of them are Trump voters. Remember, you live in a country where 90% of the counties are Trump counties. Those station owners are sick to their stomach about the programming that is coming out of ABC. But they've never had the temerity or the backbone or the cultural moment to finally say, we're pulling Jimmy Kimmel's show. Till now. Here's what those owners told me, and a lot of this is going to come out, but boy, they told me some special little secrets.
With all due respect to former President Obama, he has no idea what he's talking about. The decision to fire Jimmy Kimmel and to cancel his show came from executives at ABC. That has now been reported, and I can assure you it did not come from the White House, and there was no pressure given from the President of the United States. And how do I know that, Kaylee? Because I was with the President of the United States when this news broke in the United Kingdom. We were enjoying the beautiful and spectacular state visit that was put forth by the royal family and the Prime Minister of the UK, Keir Starmer. And I actually brought this news to President Trump's attention. He had no idea this was happening. It was a decision that was made by ABC because Jimmy Kimmel chose to knowingly lie to his audience on his program about the death of a highly respected man when our country is in a state of mourning.
Well, I'm a free speech absolutist, so I think Jimmy Kimmel should be able to say whatever he wants to say, and the market can decide whether it wants Jimmy Kimmel to say it or not. In other words, if Jimmy Kimmel's ratings are awful, then Disney has every right to cancel him, but that's not why they got rid of him. They got rid of him because Donald Trump made it clear he doesn't like to be made fun of, as he said consistently, both before and after this.
This is the best day of my life. No, Jimmy Kimmel got fired. That was... And people are like, this is fascism. because people are getting fired for what they say. And it's like, motherfuckers are getting fired for not getting an injection 2 years ago. And if you said anything about it, they would literally shut down your entire social media.
Look, I'll just caution my friends on the right who are gloating over this. It's a round world, my friends. And if you think this is how you're going to proceed, one day there's going to be a Democrat who's going to put somebody in charge of the FCC. And that person is going to make a call to Lachlan Murdoch, and he's going to say, hey, if you want your station groups to have any kind of access to Fox on broadcast, maybe get rid of Greg Gutfeld over on Fox News, right? And that comedy show. That's not a road anyone here wants to go down. I feel that Greg Gutfeld has the right to say the stupid stuff he says, and Jimmy Kimmel has the right to say the stuff that he says. And the bottom line is, if that's not how it's going to be, let's get ready for retribution after retribution after retribution, because this is a Pandora's box you're opening up that you don't want to open up.
Look, but that was okay. Like, not one person who got fired for comments over Charlie Kirk was their boss like, fuck, what are we gonna do now? Not one. They were just like, oh, thank God we could finally get rid of that crazy fuck bitch.
About Jimmy Kimmel. One of the owners told me that Jimmy Kimmel's program has been like a hockey stick downward, that they can't even sell ads against Jimmy Kimmel's show because so few people watch it in the key demo and in their region, that they can't even sell like local Ford dealership ads against Jimmy Kimmel. The Ford dealership doesn't want the association. The local Ford dealership doesn't want the association. They can't sell Jimmy Kimmel's show because Jimmy Kimmel's show is such a repulsive stick in the eye to the vast majority of Americans. Now, that is a collapsing business model. That's a spiraling business model that ABC News wants to get rid of. ABC News was well on their way to getting rid of Jimmy Kimmel. We just gave him a little nudge.
The United States has the most robust speech protections in the world. The First Amendment here is much more rigorous than the protections accorded the average British citizen. That does not excuse Jimmy Kimmel's idiocy on Monday night. And ABC is a private company, and unlike you and I right now, they operate in a regulated world on a broadcast network using the public spectrum. So they have an even higher obligation to the public. But I think what ABC was anticipating is they're going to lose half to three-quarters of their audience, and the advertisers are going to flee because Kimmel simply lied about Charlie's murderer. Charlie was assassinated by a left-wing fanatic, and that can be said over and over again, and you can't get away from that. So the decision to suspend and I suspect eventually cancel Kimmel is a business decision by ABC. When FCC Commissioner Brendan Carr came out and made comments about that, all he was doing was underscoring that the FCC has to regulate in the public interest, and ABC licensees have to broadcast in the public interest. Public interest does not include telling lies about left-wing nuts. Now, I don't know that ABC would have lost their license, but I know that ABC was looking at their sponsors more than they were looking at Brendan Carr talking about the FCC's legal responsibility. But our First Amendment, much stronger than Brits, and I'm glad that it is.
I just want to thank these local stations. They've called me up. They said, thank you. I want to thank them. Nexstar and Sinclair are the two that really stood their ground here. Without these local stations, please scroll down to the bottom here, Klein. Thank you. Without these local stations, that, by the way, you're talking about 100 million. My numbers were wrong. I was corrected yesterday. You're talking 100 million American homes. Well, Jimmy Kimmel, last we checked, gets 1 million viewers a night. 1 million viewers a night. Like any random video, a video of me walking down the street will do 1 million views. But kind of depending on what it is, you know? The video we posted outside of Charlie Kirk's memorial will do 1 million views. Believe that. Jimmy Kimmel gets just 1 million views a night? What about in the key demographic? That's people that are under the age of 50. That's what the advertisers all want to reach. 129,000 viewers. 129,000 viewers in the key demographic. Dude, Jimmy Kimmel's show is a zombie show. It's an already broken, dead show. It doesn't work. It's gone. It was a zombie show. They didn't need any help. We just gave ABC probably cover to do what they've wanted to do forever. And we finally gave the affiliates the backbone to stand up and say, F this.
Free speech. Your Vice President Vance said that free speech is under attack in the UK. Do you agree with him? And Prime Minister, we saw the dismissal of a very well-known chat show host in America last night, Mr. Kimmel. Is free speech more under attack in Britain or America?
Well, Jimmy Kimmel was fired because he had bad ratings more than anything else, and he said a horrible thing about a great gentleman known as Charlie Kirk. And Jimmy Kimmel is not a talented person. He had very bad ratings, and they should have fired him a long time ago. So, you can call that free speech or not. He was fired for lack of talent. Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah. And so we just want to say thank you to the affiliate partners who allowed for all this to happen. 129,000 viewers. Dude, that's crazy. See, like on YouTube alone on election night, I think we had like 300,000 concurrents. Like every single podcast that we do does more than that. And we're nowhere close to like the big, we're really proud of everything here. Like we're not close to like the single biggest show. We're very, very proud of this audience. We love how exponential the growth has gone. And all the owners tell me that Jimmy Kimmel's viewership, since they started Jimmy Kimmel's show, the viewership has been a hockey stick downward. That's an exact quote from one of the most powerful men in media. So I didn't get much sleep last night. Forgive me for being a little gruff this morning. But if you think we're going to stop and you're a little sneering, scolding, latte drinking, vanilla pumpkin spice takes from your weakling Republican side, which got us into this position, if you think that that's going to stop us, buckle up.